What if one of the greatest gifts a child can receive is simply more people to love them?
That would also mean more people to notice them, more people to cheer for them, and more people to remind them they belong.
Welcome back to Big Little Lessons. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Kristine.
And today's conversation is about something deeply meaningful, the power of intergenerational connection.
Good job saying that.
Say that 3 times fast. Intergenerational connection. The role that grandparents, extended family, and special friends play in shaping a child's life.
I love this because while parents carry so much, children often grow strongest when they're surrounded by a village. We always have that famous saying in the back of our minds, it takes a village. And the village are people who show up, invest, and love them in quiet and steady ways.
Yeah. And we have research that we've been studying that show that children tend to feel more secure and resilient when they have multiple caring adults invested in their lives.
Yeah. There's so many benefits.
I know. And so today we get to talk with someone who truly lives that idea.
So Peter Palmer
Woohoo!
is a devoted father, a proud grandfather, and a beloved presence in our school community. From volunteering in classrooms to leading the Grandparent Committee and to being named Volunteer of the Year.
But more than anything, Peter is someone who shows us what it looks like to keep saying yes to connection, family, and community.
Peter, we are so honored to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm flattered, and I too am honored.
Oh.
And I'm also now aware that I'm intergenerational. As you said that word, I was thinking I have to say that really slowly so I can get it out correctly.
Yeah.
It's a good word.
It's a good word, and it's an interesting word because it's true, and I've been part of that intergenerational fact of life going back many years.
Okay, so let's ask you the question we ask all our guests, which is, Peter, what is one of your earliest school memories?
You know, I'm a fan of both of you. I have been listening to your podcasts from the very beginning, and I have heard this question come up time and again. And I thought that if you ever were to ask me to be a guest on the show and ask me that question, what would I say? And I have really no idea. Truth to tell.
Oh, come on. Do you mind telling everybody, our listeners, how old you are?
81. I'll
81.
be 82 in June.
Amazing 81 years young, for sure.
I really did think about it. And I went back to the kindergarten years, in the first grade and the second grade, and couldn't come up with anything. But what I did come up with were the faces of some of my teachers and their names, which really surprised me. Mrs. Sullivan, Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Bach, Mrs. Antonini, Mrs. Nelson, Mrs. Breslin.
Wow.
And then I tried to put them to the grades that they were in, which I kind of didn't really remember, but I just put them someplace. What I do remember, however, is I walked to school. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I went to a public school, PS 102. And I think when I was in kindergarten or the first grade, somebody walked me to school, probably my father or my mother or my grandmother, my grandmother who I called Nana. We moved into her house when I was 2. And so I suspect that they walked me to school and then picked me up. And as I got a little bit older, my brother probably took that task on because he's 4 years older than I am. And I don't know how much he liked that, but nonetheless, to do it. But I would go home for lunch. And that was fine because I had a grandmother who made me breakfast every morning, who made me lunch when I came home for lunch, who made dinner. And she was really almost a chef. She was just an incredible cook, and she could make bread out of dough, and she did literally every morning. It was one of those things I had fresh everything, which I took for granted, which is something that I really wanted to talk about. So I got tired, talking about taking things for granted, of going home for lunch, and I wanted to stay at school and have lunch with my friends because they were all having lunch at school. And they would eat there were a couple of gyms. There was a large gym that they would eat in, and there was also a cafeteria. So I finally said to my parents that I want to eat at school, and they couldn't quite understand it, but they finally said yes. And I was trying to think what was made for me, because it happened once. And my grandmother probably made me something not only delicious, but large. And I don't know what it wouldn't have been. It wasn't a steak dinner by any means, but it was probably egg salad or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I went and had lunch at school with my friends, and it was whatever it was. And after it was over, my thought was, this is no big deal. Okay, it's like
the novelty wore off pretty fast.
And instantly. Been there, done that, and from now on and going forward, I would go home for lunch and loved it much more than eating at school. And that's my earliest.
Yes.
They're
the lunch at
more to
school
come.
is just, it's okay, but being at home with family was better.
Kids would have lunch at school and they would have a hot lunch for the kids. And they all had to have these little tokens, and these tokens looked like checkers.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And they would get the checkers and they would hand the checker in and they would get their lunch. And it was like maybe grilled cheese and tomato soup
Right.
with a container of milk and maybe an apple. Mm-hmm. It was like maybe even delicious, but also really boring compared to what I was eating for lunch.
Yeah.
So done, finished, that's it.
You were the lucky one.
Yeah.
When I was little, until I was 5, my grandparents lived downstairs. So I have such fond memories of that as well. And like living with your grandmother, that's something really special when you were growing up. What was that like for you besides her cooking for you?
In hindsight, it was great. It was magical. It was many adjectives that which, after you invited me to come on the show, that I was thinking of areas of things that I could say about that, because I took it for granted. Hence, she was always there for me. And I felt seen by her. I knew my parents certainly loved me, but she loved me in a different way, the way grandparents love their grandkids. She was a touchy person. I was always hugged. My cheeks were tweaked. She had a nickname for me. My background is Swedish, and I don't think this is a Swedish word, but her nickname for me was Muckalunga.
What? Say that again?
Muckalunga. I have
Sounds
no,
Yiddish.
I have no idea what it means, but she would say that, and I've been thinking about that because I haven't thought about that word or how she referred to me that way in a very long time. I felt safe with her. I felt comfortable with her. I guess I felt at peace with her. Not that I didn't with my parents, but as to those grandparents and to those parents, it's a different relationship, to be sure. And my parents had the responsibilities that my grandmother didn't, and my grandmother gave me all of those things that I didn't even know I needed.
So when you were saying you felt seen, you felt supported in a different way, what are some specific things? Can you think? I'm imagining, did you take advantage of her kindness and her excellent cooking, or how was it?
Well, it's like the way the grandparents love, like you said, is different than a parent's love. Yeah, could you expound upon that?
They love grandparents. Grandparents don't have the responsibilities that parents do. And grandparents, I think, have to be, and I'm really just speaking for myself because clearly all grandparents are different. They have different preferences, different likes, different wants, different desires, different needs. And as a result, different courses of action. And I have always felt, and I don't necessarily practice what I preach, that I have to take the lead from my grandkids' parents, which is to say my daughter Erica and my son-in-law Mike. And as much as I wanted to or want to be involved and inject myself or offer my opinions, which I do sometimes carefully, they're not my responsibility. They are when they're with me, to be sure. It's clearly they are their children, and it's their responsibility to deal with them and care for them. Now, those responsibilities are not, as I said, the grandparents' responsibilities. I'm not, as a grandparent, worrying about grades. I might think about it. I don't ask how they're doing. The kids may tell me, which is open. As a matter of fact, when I drive my grandkids to school most every morning and pick them up most every afternoon, which is my blessing. It's my treat. It's what I totally enjoy. I have my own time with them. And when I pick them up, we have this special bond, my lack of responsibility for their daily activity.
Yes.
I don't have to worry about their Their health, I do worry.
Right.
Their health bills. I don't have to worry about insurance.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about dinner that night. I don't have to necessarily worry about their after-school activities, although I participate in that. I don't have to worry about teacher meetings. I don't have to worry about any of those things. And I can therefore be open-minded and be curious about them and look at them and take in what they might be taking in. And I say, what are you thinking? And they'll say nothing. I'll say, what are you thinking? And they'll say nothing. And I'll say, look me in the eye and tell me what you were just thinking. And this happened once years ago with my youngest, Kevin, and he was looking at a building. And what did you see in that building? What were you looking at? It was just about, was it the color? I was wondering about the color yellow. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering why they painted that yellow when all the other buildings are not yellow. Why are the other buildings not painted a color? I would never in a million years as a parent have gotten that far with that. I would never have gotten into their mind with that, nor perhaps would they have ever answered me that.
Yeah.
I would have been thinking about the traffic and having to get to the doctor on time.
Right, we're moving too fast.
And everything else that has to happen. And in this day and age, for clearly different than mine, it's a speed demon. It's a race course.
Yeah.
And you all have gone through that.
Yeah.
I know we're at the stage where, maybe someday we get to be a grandparent, which I look forward to because everybody says that grandparenting is way more fun than parenting.
Well, and the way you've described it and explained it, it's so beautiful. I mean, I love that, to be able to have those moments with your grandkids.
Yes.
But if I can reiterate, I don't speak for grandparents. I'm just a grandparent speaking.
Right.
Yeah.
I am different, I know, because grandparents tell me that.
Yes.
Than they are. I joke with my daughter and son-in-law sometimes, and I say, you guys don't know how lucky you are to have Patricia, my wife, help you out. And they do appreciate it. But I hear from other parents at school who say, oh my gosh, I wish, and their parents are not available for a variety of reasons. Their distance, they're physically not able to do it.
Absolutely. Well, that's what we're going to get into today, is talking about extended family, grandparents, close friends, that those types of additional relationships, how they can really support a child's emotional well-being and sense of identity.
Yeah.
And I can say to listeners that we have had students who look at you, Peter, besides your 3 fabulous grandchildren, but they look at you as part of their extended family for you being on campus and volunteering the way you do. And so we'll get into a little bit more about that. But I just think it's interesting that the research shows that having additional support for children growing up, it helps their whole emotional well-being. And that's why we're doing this today.
Like who they are, their sense of identity.
Right?
It's really making me think so much about my grandparents. I knew all 4 of my grandparents, but I was particularly close to my grandfather and my grandmother in a totally different way.
Did your grandfather live with you?
They lived, my grandfather and my mother's parents and my grandmother lived, downstairs, and we lived upstairs, but only until I was about 5 years old. But I would just remember all the things you described about snuggling up. My grandfather used to let me sleep in his t-shirt at nighttime and snuggling up, and he taught me to read, and just going down there and feeling safe and feeling warm and feeling cozy, just a completely different energy shift than being upstairs with your parents, even when I was little.
Well, that was one of the things we read about, is that those early, maybe you were under 5 when they lived with you, made such an impact your whole life.
Yeah, it really does add to your emotional well-being.
It does.
But you didn't know you had those feelings. You just
Did not.
You just had them. You at this moment you're intellectualizing, if that's a correct word.
Yeah.
Or about what you felt then, and so that's what I was referring to before, taking something for granted. It's just there, so you don't abuse it, you don't use it, you just enjoy it and you revel in it, and you live with it and you love it, and then at some point it's gone.
It would be so fun if we could to ask your grandma and your grandpa, what did you love about being a grandparent to Kristine and Peter? What do you imagine them saying?
That she liked cooking.
No, I always felt like I was the favorite. And there was a lot of cousins. And I always felt really special He made me feel special, and maybe he made all 12 of his grandkids feel special. But
Now, wouldn't that be special if he made
I
them
actually
all,
don't
right?
think so. I think I was the chosen one. But no, I
Yeah, my grandparents live far, far away, and I can probably count, on one hand, how many times I got to see my dad's mom. So it was a really big deal when I got to see grandma. And then my mom's parents lived far away too, and we'd see them about 1 week a year, and it was a really big deal. But I didn't get to have that day-to-day interaction.
Yeah.
So we adopted our neighbors, Elmer and Rose Hulk, and they became my grandparents and
Special
growing up.
friends.
to your point. So let's get into your life a little
Yeah,
bit.
we want to know more about Peter. Okay, so Peter, you've had
Yes.
quite a life.
I've had a life.
So take us back about your adulthood, your career, and building your own family.
Well, to be sure, there was no plan. It's like I often say, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him you have plans.
Exactly.
And
Well done.
it was just something that I worked on earlier life. When I graduated from high school, I worked on a ship. I shipped out for about 3 months on something called the North Cape Cruise. And then I went to college. And I didn't particularly like school. I didn't particularly like being in college. But I went through with it. I classify myself probably as a C student, a C plus student. I had A's and B's, but I basically, by that, what I mean is I just got through it.
Yeah.
I didn't study extra hard. I did fine. I graduated.
Perfect.
Which college?
It was a college in New York called Wagner College, a small Lutheran college. I applied to 2 schools. I applied to the University of Connecticut School of Pharmacy because I liked chemistry when I was a senior, and I thought maybe I'll be a pharmacist. My chemistry teacher said, at the time, he said that was one of the most difficult schools ever to get into. And he knew I wasn't scientifically oriented. And so that was that. And then I just chose this college because a cousin had gone there. And it's this beautiful college in Staten Island. It's got a great campus. And that was that. After that, I had a job at NBC. I worked as a page, which if they paid any more money than they did, I'd probably still be a page today. I loved that job. It was just terrific. And this is in the 60s. The Vietnam War was happening. And I went into the Army Reserves, and that was a 6.5, 7-year commitment. After that, I went to work at an advertising agency in New York. And from the advertising agency, one of their large clients, which is no longer in existence, it was a company called American Home Products, which is much like Procter & Gamble. They had every kind of product imaginable. And then I decided I wanted to go into radio broadcasting, so I started to do that and then was called to active duty in the Army. So when I finished with the active duty in the Army, I no longer had an interest in that. So I went back to, as I said, this client was part of Ted Bates' advertising agency, and then they decided to open up their own house advertising agency. So I went to work at the house agency, which was the client of Ted Bates. So I was there for a number of years as an account executive, and I didn't like it, so I left. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I decided I needed a job. So I went back to the company I had just left, and I was in one of their divisions, and I was a brand manager and then a group product manager, and I was climbing pretty quickly, and I again realized I really didn't like this. So then I left for good.
Okay.
Then my current wife, who was a very dear friend of mine, had said to me that she's probably going to move to Los Angeles. So I really didn't have anything to do, and I said, I'll move with you. So came to Los Angeles.
Wow.
So that's a little bit of my history.
It's so interesting looking back on things because you said we didn't have a plan, but you floated here. Some things were your choice, some things were not your choice. But you've often said it'll always work out. And
it did. It worked out.
It's fun to look back on things.
It worked out fine. And I was flexible and fluid, and I just followed. I went with the flow, however it was working for me. And if it worked for me at that time, I did it.
So you moved out to California, and then
You married Patricia.
and then did you have Erica right away? And
No, Erica, we were married in 1972. We'll be married 52 years.
oh my gosh, congratulations!
And no, 74. Sorry, we moved here in 72, and Erica was born in 1980.
Oh my gosh,
Can you remember thinking about your hopes and dreams for her?
Yeah, I do. When Erica was born.
Yes. Like thinking.
Yeah, I wanted her to grow up. I wanted to do things with her right away. I like going to dinner.
What you love to do.
I wanted to travel with her.
Let's go, Erica. Come on, let's skip this whole.
And believe me, there was a time when I, at a young age, was with her in restaurants. So, but part of the problem was because of that feeling. And Patricia, we thought we could do it all. And the truth of the matter is we thought we could continue our social life and the child. And what we quickly realized is that having a baby, having a child, you give it up.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody agrees with that, but this is what we felt at the time. And you give it up and you give it over to the child.
Yep.
And we had probably, at least I take responsibility for pushing her along too far. And it was suggested, after talking to a number of people, that she regain her childhood. So we basically regressed and allowed her to not be the adult I thought I wanted at that time, 3 years old, 4 years.
Well, that's an incredible reflection because not everyone would come to terms with that or recognize that.
Yeah.
I think that's really
That you reflected and said, wait, we're not doing this right. We're asking too much of a young child.
And we were, and we did, and that was our decision.
So looking back on raising Erica, what did raising her teach you about yourself?
Patience.
Oh, patience.
Patience, and also not taking things for granted. As I said, I pushed too hard.
Pushed her too hard?
I pushed myself to
Okay.
her, pushing her too hard
Okay.
to achieve something that was not possible.
How's expecting her to act more adult-like when she was so young?
I just wanted the impossible. I just wanted her to grow up. I just wanted her to be. I was serious. I really looked forward to it. And to this day, with the grandkids, Erica admonishes me when I say, I can't believe Spencer's going to be driving. Stop that. Just stop.
Yeah.
Don't push it so far. Let it go.
Okay, let it go. Okay, so teaching you patience.
Big time.
And then reflecting on that time, do you feel like you were able to enjoy the process of her growing up without her being grown
Yeah,
up?
absolutely.
That's great.
And how would you describe your relationship with Erica back then and versus now?
I like to think that we have a really tight relationship. It's hard to say how it was back then. And sometimes I ask her, what did we do wrong?
Yeah.
And where did we fail you?
Yeah.
And
But I love that you can say that because I feel like when we talk about generations of people, I think it's less common for, if it's okay for me to say, people your age to say that with their children.
Yes.
I think it's those deep conversations don't always happen.
But to even offer that question, okay, where can we improve? How can we have a conversation today and not just brush it away? I think it's important to say because every parent falls short. Every parent, you can't be there for everything. You don't do everything right. I mean,
No.
I've already said to my girls, I'm like, I know there's going to be a day when you're going to think, I can't believe my parents did whatever.
Yeah, no, I get told what I'm doing wrong all the time, and no, but they're right. Appreciate it. So I think those are, and actually, as my parents have gotten older, I've tried to engage more in these conversations, and sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's a little hard, but because it brings stuff up, it brings up things that you experience that might feel a little bit painful. So I applaud you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Kristine and I've had the pleasure of being around you and Erica together, and it's so endearing to see, and Patricia as well. The three of you are so tight and so close, and what a gift. And such a gift for your grandkids. So
we have, admittedly, and it happens in most families, I suspect, we have different relationships. Patricia's relationship with Erica and my relationship with Erica are different. And then the three of us have a relationship, as it is also, by the way, with our grandkids.
yes.
Right.
A great segue.
So let's fast forward.
Oh, okay.
So the grandkids are born, and do you want them to grow up right away, or are you okay with them being? I mean, when did you first realize this chapter is a beautiful chapter?
When Erica was pregnant, I would meet her at 7 o'clock every morning and walk with her for a couple of miles to get exercise for the entire pregnancy. And I loved doing that. So I didn't necessarily realize my feeling then at all about being a grandfather, other than the fact that I was going to be a grandfather.
Yeah.
At least I didn't, until I saw Spencer and I held Spencer. And that was all she wrote. So.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about, what do you cherish most about this season of life, having these 3 grandchildren? And you're so lucky to live close by.
That's a really interesting question. And I cherish the fact that I am available, that I am able to be there. I am involved in their lives and cherish it and enjoy it. And I also know that in being as involved as I am, and with Patricia being as involved as she is now, it's because they need the help, because truly it takes a village. There are 3 kids at different ages and different activities, and it's crazy. And I don't know how single parents do it, but it's being available and being capable to be able to be helpful.
What are your ages of your grandkids currently?
16, 14, and 9.
Okay, so you've got elementary, middle school, and high school. All 3
You're in the
divisions.
thick of it.
Wow. Well, let's go into the school and how we got to know you. I just have to start by saying to our listeners that I got to know you, Peter, through your grandkids. You'd started reading once a week in my classroom.
Right.
It's like a grandparent was coming to read to the classroom, and I'm like, okay, I've got Elliot's grandpa coming in, and I loved having you come in to read the stories. There was something so magical about you, and I would just throw a book at you. I'm like, read this one. This is what we're doing.
I loved being there. I loved every minute of it.
And it became this weekly, like it started, we're just going to do it once. And then I'm like, okay, I'll see you next Friday. And then other grandparents wanted to come in. I'm like, well, we'll find another day for you to come in. And so it was like, it just kind of evolved into something that was so enjoyable.
Very special to me.
Yeah. And the kids, I mean, your grandkids, of course, loved it. But so did the other kids in the classroom. And that was really fun. And you brought an energy into the classroom that they could just breathe and go, oh, Mr. Palmer's here. This is awesome. Yeah. And then how cool was it? In 2021, we needed a room coordinator. And never has it been happened where we had a grandparent be the coordinator of the classroom.
Made history.
Yeah, you did. And I'll never forget you said, well, I don't know about my technology skills. I'm like, that'll come. Don't worry about it. And it was such a fun year to have you coordinate all these young families. And it was just a magical year. So
That's
you were,
how I feel.
Yeah, it was good.
You asked before about the season of my life. Mm-hmm. For your listeners, I must say that because of you inviting me into the classroom and introducing me to the class and inviting me back as well, just to read, changed my life, truly. And it's not that I didn't have things to do, but now I had something in my mind important to do, which is the way I feel about my grandkids. I joke sometimes and say I'm a professional grandfather. It's my job, but you don't really have a job if you love doing what you're doing. So it's not a job. It's truly a joy of love. I was going to say a labor of love, but it's not a labor at all.
it's a joy of love.
Great. Well, Jenny and I talk so much working with little small children about joy and wonder and perspective. What did you get? You're saying how much you loved it. Can you speak to what you got from the children specifically?
Yeah, it's another thing I think about a lot. And first, because that goes back 5 years now, and I've seen a number of the kids, and I see them at school now. And it's truly a blessing when they come up to me and give me a big hug. And now they're 9 years old or 8 years old.
Yep.
And the other funny thing is sometimes I'm not sure who they are because I don't see them that much now.
Yeah.
And they grow so quickly and change physically and I don't recognize them. But what I got in kindergarten and to this day still hold is I'm amazed at their curiosity. I'm amazed at their sense of self. Obviously, it's not with all school kids. They're so smart.
Yes, they
They
are.
are so smart. And there's one little girl who, to this day, we have a bond. Whenever I see her, she comes running up and gives me a hug. And we used to do centers.
Yeah.
And when she came to the table that I was at, she and I just had this bond. And she would look at me and I would look at her. And we would have this sort of adult conversation. And
I remember the student. I do
It's-
remember
it's
this one.
just amazing that their presence, again, not everybody, but I think the vast majority of them, I hold in awe. They're just so delicious. They're just incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, I was going to ask this question: what keeps you saying yes to showing up to? Because you're also been in charge of the grandparent committee.
well, I'm not in charge. I'm a co-chairman.
Co-chairman. Okay, so you've been a chairman for how many years? Though you've been a co-chairman.
4, I guess, but I've been part of for over 10 years. I've been
Okay.
part of the Grandparent
Okay.
Committee.
So what keeps you saying, "Yep, I'm going to continue"?
Because I love doing it. I also have a big problem saying no. And also, I think I just say I just enjoy it.
Yes.
And why not continue doing something you enjoy?
Yeah, I agree. Well, we love having you on campus.
too.
All the teachers, the parents, the students, you add so much value to the community.
I was thinking about your impact on children, but now, the children's impact on you. It really goes
Yes.
both ways is what I'm really getting
Absolutely.
from this. And I never really thought about it that way. So I'm thinking in a different way about this.
I am clearly impacted by it, and I might even turn the tables on you and say I am sure there are times that in all your many years of teaching that there are students that have truly impacted you.
Oh, absolutely.
Always.
And so it's a two-way street.
Yes,
you know.
it is.
And that's why we wanted to do this podcast, is because we learn so much from the students. We learn so much from the parents and grandparents and colleagues, but students teach us so much. And the way they see the world and their perspectives and the way they learn, they inspire us all the time, and they teach us about life.
So grandparents play such a powerful role in the lives of their children, or why? Why do they?
Trust, no judgment, or usually, hopefully, no judgment. The responsibilities of a parent and the responsibilities of a grandparent or special friend, or which could be, as you said, a next door neighbor, are, in my mind, vastly different.
Yep.
And as a result, the grandparent or special friend has the good fortune of looking at the overview and not have to be bothered by the details of life,
Yeah.
and can enjoy that which the grandchild has to offer, and I speak for myself and probably many parents, that parents miss.
Yeah.
That parents don't have the time to. It's not that they don't want to. It's not that they wouldn't love to be part of it, but they just have too many things to do aside from that. And especially if you're a working parent, you have
Yes.
even more. So
Yes, so many parents, it's a dual working household or single parents. You've talked about it a little bit, but what can extended family and special friends offer that parents alone they just can't? What can they do?
what they offer the kids that the parents can't
Yeah.
offer. I think it's a repetitive expression, and that's trust and being easy with them, being gentle. And this is not to say, I really want to emphasize that parents are otherwise,
Yeah.
but it's just a different kind of relationship. You can offer something to the grandchildren along the lines of trust, where they will, again, without questioning them, because parents do, obviously for appropriate reasons, that grandkids may open up to their grandparents.
Yeah.
And once that trust is established, any number of things can come out, information can come out. Now, some of that is shared clearly if it's warranted with the parents, and sometimes it just stays between the grandchild and the grandparent. And and the same with special friends as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. And that gives the kid, the grandkid, a sense of peace.
And it goes back to what Jenny had commented on earlier about the research that we've been reading. We've been reading lots of articles about, the emotional well-being
Yes.
of children. And you just described that perfectly.
It is. It reminds me that every year at our school, and many schools have a day, there's a special day for grandparents and special friends. And it's always been one of my favorite days at school because there's just an ease. There's not, because
so your room is filled with love.
Yeah.
It's just love.
It's so much easier than the parents that come in and like, my child's reading. And what are you going to do to provide? I'm worried about, or there's a level of concern because they're the primary caretakers for their child. And so I always loved Grandparents and Special Friends Day until the one year, because there's always 1 year, I had this grandma come in. And it was right before spring break. And she starts peppering me with all these questions about why isn't her grandson reading? And don't you think there's something wrong? And what else can I do? And I thought, oh, you're killing my grandparent love. So anyway, she was a lovely woman, but she had extra concern about this one grandchild. But in all the years, I've never had that experience except for one time. So there always has to be one.
Yeah, there you go.
There's always one.
There you go.
Boy, oh boy, is that true.
So, Jenny, you talked about your neighbors. I didn't
Oh,
know that.
yeah.
That's so cool. So, you didn't have grandparents nearby, but
No.
you made your own grandparents. I did that too for my boys. I mean, they were very close with my mother. They still are, but it was easier to see her when they were younger.
Yeah.
And so I lived in a community with some older people,
Yes.
and it was so important for them.
Yeah.
I made an effort for them to have relationships with these people.
And I think
That's
that
nice.
was
That's really
really
great.
smart of you because both my parents' families lived either in Michigan or Minnesota, and we were in California or New Orleans. And so we would there was a family of 5. We didn't have aunts and uncles nearby. I didn't have cousins. We had some cousins, but I only got to see them a handful of times growing up. But it was really nice. My parents, we developed family friends. But yes, 2 doors down were Elmer and Rose Holk, and they were the sweetest. And I just came across a picture, I'll have to show you, of my grandparents when they came to visit with Elmer and Rose. And I'm like, I just came across it yesterday. And
Appropriate.
it was so appropriate. I should have brought it down. I'm in the process of trying to get all my photos organized. Wish me luck. It's a big project. But this photo, it really was so appropriate. So I'll have to bring it out.
So yeah, what can help fill that role? I'm thinking when we lived in this one wonderful development, there was this woman named Mary, and I'll never forget, she was 90 when Shane was born. So when Shane was 2, she was 92.
Oh.
When Shane was 3, she was 93. And she used to invite the boys over, and she would have, I think they were like cough drops, like sucrets or something, like in this little metal case. She would fill it with pennies and give it to the boys. And I feel like those are like the smallest gestures that stay with you throughout your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because try to talk to the kids about appreciating the small things in life and the free things in life. And they kind of look at me a little cross-eyed, I'm sure. But it's like smiling. Mac Davis had a song, Stop and Smell the Roses. I mean, just stop and smell the roses, literally. Look at people, observe.
Yes.
There are so many different things that you can get out of life that are these wonderful moments, these wonderments of life. And pennies in a can are something, look now, look at you, you're remembering something like that. It's the smallest thing that you would never think would go anywhere that stays with you for a lifetime.
Yep. I like that. Okay. So should we talk about what people can do for families that don't have grandparents nearby? What could help fill that role? We talked about some neighbors. Right. Anybody else?
I'm thinking about a podcast we did way at the beginning. And I remember talking about teachers who made a big difference in our life. And I remember talking about charismatic adults, like finding somebody who saw you, who made you feel safe.
Yes.
And opening up yourself. I mean, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm thinking of the two of you, for instance, and the many students you've had over these years. And I have seen how students come running up to you, upper grade students.
Yep.
Now that's a decade and a half already. And obviously they are crazy about you. They appreciate everything you've done for them. And you remain very important to this day in their life. And so definitely some teachers, not everybody, but many people say, the teacher I remember, and that meant the most to me, or it was pivotal in my life. Or
I mean, we both
important.
had that. Jenny and I
Oh,
both
yeah.
had that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's community, churches.
if you get involved,
Yeah.
if you go to church, if you go to community houses or whatever that might be in your area, you meet friends, and then friends beget friends. And
Definitely the parents of, if your child doesn't have grandparents,
Yep.
just finding opportunities for them to be in intergenerational
Intergenerational.
connections.
I was going to say multi-generational, but like providing that for them.
Yes.
Because then it has to happen organically between two people. You can't force it, but it will if it's meant to be.
And if it happens, to encourage it and
Support it.
And support it.
Yep. Yeah, I think about coaches, how important they
Absolutely.
are.
Absolutely.
Dance teachers, music teachers, piano teachers. I mean, there's so many things that get involved. If you get involved with a volunteer program, I mean,
Absolutely.
you can have an intergenerational volunteers type
Also,
of program.
your close friends' parents,
Yes.
your close friends' grandparents.
Yes.
Like tap into the people that are your village.
Yeah.
That may not be your own.
I agree with that. How often do you hear somebody saying, I literally lived at my friend's house for my
Yes.
childhood.
Yes.
That was my second mother.
Yes. My two girls have a bunch of aunties and uncles. So that's been great. But if you don't have that, your best friends could be the family aunties and uncles as well. Because the research shows that having even one consistent caring adult can make a lasting difference in a child's life. So, and helpful to the parents
word is
too.
consistent.
Yes, the word is consistent. Yes.
For so many reasons.
All right, Peter. What has life taught you about love, family, and showing up?
What has life taught you? It's a big question.
Yeah, it's a big question. Good luck.
It's a good one.
Can I get back to you on that?
Sure, you can get back to it.
I don't know what life has taught me as much as what I feel. And I guess that's certainly instructional and a teaching lesson. I feel blessed.
Yeah.
I feel very fortunate.
Yes.
And a very dear friend of my wife's and mine used to say, for every minute, for every second, for every minute, for every hour, right at this moment. And to that I add, I am most lucky. I am blessed. I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yes. Beautiful. I think you're teaching us about taking time to self-reflect is also really important, and that helps you move to the next phase.
It can be hard sometimes, but I think
self-reflection's hard.
It's really important. To do that.
Do you ever think about what you hope your grandkids will remember the most about you?
Yes and no. I would hope that they think of me, not necessarily think of me as a kind person, as a caring person. I think kindness is never overused. I think it's so important in life.
Yeah.
And I talk to them about that. Just be kind, be gracious, be thankful, be appreciative, be considerate, be respectful, be loving. And the other emotions in your life are valid, but they don't necessarily have to rule your life.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're there. So if I may, can I read something?
Oh, yeah. What would you like to read?
I came across this written piece written by a teenager for his grandparents.
Oh, I like it.
Hope I don't cry.
My grandparents are some of the most influential people in my life, and I wouldn't be who I am without them. I'm here to talk about how my grandparents influenced my life. First, I'm going to talk about my grandpa. My grandpa has always been there for my siblings and for me, no matter what happens. He cares for us and will do anything for us. He helps us with our extracurricular activities, such as picking up from school, our sports, and other activities, and never once does he complain about it. He just loves spending time with us as we love spending time with him. He also volunteers at school, so we always get to see him every day. Now I'd like to talk about my grandma. My grandma is just as influential as my grandpa, but just in different ways. She's always there for me when I need to talk about something. She always helps me when I just need to sit down with someone. Sometimes we just sit in silence, but that silence is so relaxing and peaceful. She has always been my emotional support tool, and I wouldn't be where I am today without her. What I've learned from my grandparents is that you should always be caring and supportive no matter what happens. Be patient with others around you. I've learned to be more empathetic and to put myself in others' shoes. And I've learned how important it is to be there for others, especially in the good times and the bad. My grandparents taught me that you should always be humble and not be better than anyone else. They have always lived life to the fullest and to not waste a single moment of their lives. And lastly, if I had always kept to myself in the bad moments of my life, I would be a completely different person. My grandparents have been there for me when I need to turn to them to talk about what's on my mind. This shows it's better to have someone to go to in your life rather than just handling life on your own. Everyone should appreciate their grandparents and not take advantage of them. And I found this, I was asked to come to a chapel at school because grandkids were talking about their grandparents. And this was written by my grandson.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
I did not know at all
Yeah.
how much of life as it related to us he ingested, what his feelings were. He had never expressed them, certainly to this level or any other level before, and certainly not pen to paper, as it were.
Wow.
And it
Beautiful.
just knocked me out.
Wow, that's the answer to the question.
Yeah, it really is.
So much more.
I'm just so grateful. Were you just blown out of the water to hear?
I was sitting listening to this, and I couldn't believe it. I was just in awe of what he was saying.
Yeah.
Wow, Peter.
What a gift for you and for him, and to realize that and to have this special time now. Wow. Impressive. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you for letting me read it.
Yes.
That was really special. I think it's time for.
Should we do the speed round? Okay. So, Peter, we're going to ask you some questions, and you just one word that describes being a grandparent.
Love.
Oh, love.
What's your favorite name your grandchildren call you?
They call me a number of different things, but they call me Pop-Pop.
Pop, pop.
Pop, pop. I like that.
What's something you love doing with your grandkids that you didn't do as much as a parent?
Because I drive them to school and pick them up from school, and it's not the same. It changes. It might be 1 or 2 in the morning and 2 different ones in the afternoon.
Okay. So,
And I'm being careful not to do that. We have great conversations, and we listen to music in the morning and we sing, and in the afternoon we listen to jazz and we talk about jazz,
nice.
and it's really terrific.
What's a tradition you hope they always remember?
Family.
Yeah.
The family tradition. It's really big on my daughter's part. We have a small family, so she's determined to keep the family together as well as the extended family, which is my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and that side of it there. So it's a sum total of 14 people that she's, as well as the others, determined to keep it together.
That's great. Something that your grandchildren have taught you.
It's an ongoing process
Yes.
of patience. It's an ongoing process of caring and respecting and trusting people. And they're all so different. Their thinking, their thought process is different. Some are more pensive. One is what's on his lung is on his tongue.
Well, we have to talk about food. A food or treat that feels special when you're together.
Spaghetti.
Nice. That's a good one. Something you say to them all the time.
I love you.
Well, I know you said grandparenting in one word. You said love. Could you do it in 3 words?
Yeah. Love, love, love.
Oh,
I
beautiful.
like it.
Beautiful.
Okay, Kristine, what is your big little lesson from hearing from Peter?
I sort of talked about it a little bit as you were talking, how I was thinking about both sides of the relationship, and not just, what the grandparent gets, but what the child, like both.
It's a
how
reciprocal.
It goes both ways, how it's
Yeah.
reciprocal. And one thing that you said that I think really resonated and will stay with me is it's not just a job if it's something that you love doing.
Yes.
And I hope that people will hear that, because there's so many things in our life that we love doing. Jenny, what's your big little lesson?
I am taking away a reminder of how impactful grandparents, aunties, uncles, special friends have in a child's life, and that as a parent, you think, well, I'm solely responsible for this, and I have to fill my child's every need, and you just are not going to be able to. And just the importance of those family members and special friends that really help your child be so much more well-balanced and cared for. There's room for all to really impact a child's life. And
So important, the
Yes.
village that we talked about.
Yeah.
And I think, in so many of the conversations we have, we do talk about parenting a lot and
Yeah.
how challenging it is. But this is something extra and important
Yeah.
that makes your child fully whole.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It just makes me excited that maybe someday I get to be a grandparent. And I've been observing Peter and so many other wonderful grandparents, including my mom and dad and my mother-in-law as grandparents. And it's just something to look forward
Right.
to.
If I may say, being a parent and being a grandparent, you never stop being a parent.
No, you don't.
I will be a parent for the rest of my life. And I
Yes.
will worry the way
Yes.
parents do for the rest of my life, even though she's a grown woman with 3 kids.
Yep.
And it's impossible to try to convey, although you can try, the feeling of being a grandparent. And it's nothing that I expected, like being a parent was nothing that I expected, to try to articulate that to somebody who was a non-parent. And it's a whole different ballpark if you're invited in by the parents.
Yep.
Because they're the first line of defense, so to speak, and they can use your help and they need you.
Should we give some optional homework?
Yeah,
for our
let's do.
listeners?
It's always optional.
So, we did focus on Peter, who's a grandparent, but let's think about someone who was a part of your village growing up. As a person, think about who were the charismatic adults in your life
Yes.
who made you who you are today.
Yeah, a grandparent, a coach, a teacher, neighbor, family friend.
Maybe even reach out and thank them, or if they're not here, share a story about them with someone you love. I think that's fun.
And if you're in a season where you can be that person for a child, consider one small way to show up. Perhaps it's a note or a visit, a game, a conversation, something.
And for grandparents who are not able to, if I may say, for grandparents who are not able to, because of proximity, see their grandkids or other reasons, going back to, again, the small things.
Yes.
A note, a handwritten note. I would write notes to my grandkids, and they loved opening the envelope and reading the notes, because this is the time of emails and texts, and they're into that. But when you get a handwritten note, it's an anomaly.
Yes.
They just don't.
Especially when it has $20 in it, which my mother used to always.
No, but you're
You
right
got-
about a
you got
handwritten
20
note.
bucks.
Well, my
yeah.
grandmother would give me 5. But
Yeah.
I mean, my
What does the
kids got a
tooth
little more.
fairy pay these days?
Oh, it depends.
Yeah.
All
No,
kinds
but
of
a
things.
handwritten note it's such a special thing. It's so simple.
Peter, thank you so much for sharing
Thank
your
you for
story,
inviting me.
Yeah.
your heart, and your wisdom with us today. We
It's a
love you
pleasure.
so much.
And
Right
thank you
back
for
at
being such a beautiful example of what it means to stay connected across the generations.
Thank you.
To our listeners, if today's episode made you think of someone who helped shape your life, we hope you carry that gratitude with you.
And if you're a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a teacher, or a special friend, never underestimate the differences that your presence makes.
Because sometimes the most powerful thing we can give a child,
It's just to show up.
show up.
And we might not have all the answers, but we sure do have a lot of experience.
Do. Thank you for listening to Big Little Lessons. Until next time.